My first question is the typical one you could ask a jazz musician. And by the way, you are the guest of a jazz festival. How do you work with technique and inspiration, composition and improvisation? I think both these aspects are part of your work.
My instruments are not the classical instruments a jazz musician would use. My instruments are a bit different. They are 40-year-old computers, but I see some similarities. First of all, at the end, the common interest is music. And music is about structure, it is about harmony, melody, rhythm, and also about an interaction with the audience. And all these things I can do with these machines too. And the main difference is that a lot more things that musicians would do have to be pre-programmed, because this is more or less a little ensemble here. And I see myself not so much as a musician here on stage, but as a composer and a conductor. What I'm doing during the concert is I am conducting this piece. And there is room for improvisation, and improvisation is very important to me. Every evening is different. I play some pieces, so these pieces are my standards, if you like, but I articulate them. I can play them faster, I can play them slower, I can play them in a very quiet way, almost intimate, or I can play them very brutally. And this articulation is what turns the score into the music. So what's inside the computer is the score, but what I do in the concert is I play the score.
How did you fall in love with the machine?
Well, I come from a family of engineers and I'm very used to machines. But for me, machines are very poetic beings. I mean, we are here in this fantastic building, and this is not just a building. It has an aura, it has a symmetry, proportions. And these old machines, for me, they are the result of a lot of people putting a lot of dedication and love into it. And when I play with these machines, I interact with the ideas of other people. And for me, this is very important and inspiring. I am in a dialogue with those machines, just as much as I would be in a dialogue with a grand piano. I have an idea what I want to do, but there's limits. There's limits on the grand piano because it sounds like a grand piano. I only have 10 fingers, and these machines have their limits, and the act of composing or the act of performing is navigating within those limits, playing with those limits, trying to overcome them, trying to get better within the limitations, trying to find something beautiful that is a result of the interaction. And without those machines, I wouldn't have the inspiration. So it's a dialogue.
The artistic research in the digital art scene is more and more interconnecting audio and visuals. Which is your current approach to this relation?
I started to work with those machines because I was very fascinated by this very simple graphics. These machines can only display a very limited number of so-called characters. And if I want to draw something, I have to use these things. It is very similar to a musical scale in a way. And I always wanted to do something that explores this specific aesthetics. And so I started exploring the visual side. And at the beginning I thought it's going to be an installation. And the more I worked with this project, the more I got the idea that it has to be a concert. And I started to also figure out what I can do sonically with these machines. And at some point I was confident enough that I can do a concert with them. And I also figured out that I need more than one computer to do this. And this is how this thing became alive.